I used to think more sweat meant more results. But at 51, I found myself crying in the shower after yet another workout that left me exhausted, while my jeans felt even tighter and that stubborn belly bulge stared back at me in the mirror. No one warned me that menopause could turn my once trusted fitness routine into my worst enemy, actually making belly fat worse instead of better. So I did a deep dive into the science that was causing what was really happening, and what I discovered changed everything. Welcome, I'm Amelia. In this video, I'm sharing the 5 biggest workout mistakes I've made during menopause, mistakes so many other women are still making, often without realizing it. But don't worry, I won't just list the problems. For every mistake, I'll show you the hormone-smart fixes that helped me wake up with more energy, sleep better, and finally see real change around my waistline. Make sure you watch till the end, because I'm also revealing the single most underrated exercise rule that almost every woman over 45 overlooks, and it can completely transform how you feel. Let's dive in and see how a few small, science-backed changes can make a big difference. Mistake number 1, poor workout timing. For years, I was convinced that the best way to start the day was with a fasted workout, rolling out of bed, throwing on my leggings, and sweating it out before breakfast. It felt like winning before the clock even hit 8 a.m. In my 30s and 40s, it worked beautifully. I'd leave the gym feeling powerful, light, and ready to take on anything. But then menopause happened. Suddenly, those early workouts didn't give me energy anymore. They stole it. Instead of feeling lean and strong, I felt puffy, moody, and so exhausted by mid-afternoon that all I could think about was sugar. No matter how hard I trained, my belly kept getting softer, my patience shorter, and my cravings stronger. I couldn't figure it out until I started learning what menopause really does to our hormones. See, cortisol, our main stress hormone, naturally rises in the morning to help us wake up. But during menopause, it doesn't just rise, it lingers. Add fasted high-intensity exercise on top of that, and research shows our blood sugar can spike much higher than before. In fact, studies found menopausal women like us can see blood glucose levels jump up to 30% more when we train fasted in the morning compared to later in the day. What finally changed everything for me was rethinking when I trained, not just how. I moved my tougher workouts to the afternoon, usually between 2 and 5, when cortisol naturally settles and my body feels more balanced. In the mornings, I still move, but gently. A quiet walk around the block, some light stretching, or a few minutes of mobility to wake my joints and mind without flooding my system with stress hormones. And on days I have no choice but to train early, I eat something first. Just a spoonful of Greek yogurt, a boiled egg, or half a protein shake. That tiny snack helps keep my blood sugar steady, my mood more even, and my body from clinging to every calorie. Once I made these changes, my afternoons felt clearer, my cravings calmed down, and, slowly but surely, that stubborn belly softness started to give way to strength again. Before I dive into mistake number 2, can I ask you a quick favor? If this resonates so far, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below. It helps this video reach more women who are going through the same challenges, and it shows YouTube that these stories matter. Together, we can spread awareness, share what really works, and remind each other we're not alone in this. Now, on to mistake number 2, relying only on cardio. For years, cardio was my comfort zone. Running before sunrise, sweating through spin classes, or getting lost in the rhythm of a long walk on the treadmill. It felt like I was doing something good for my body. Every drop of sweat felt like proof that I was burning calories, fighting aging, and keeping weight gain at bay. But as menopause crept in, something changed. Despite logging miles and clocking hours on the bike, the scale barely budged. Worse, I noticed my body feeling softer, my arms and legs losing their tone, and my energy dipping faster than before. It felt unfair. How could I work so hard and still feel like I was falling behind? The truth is, menopause rewrites the rules. Our estrogen levels drop, and with them, our body's ability to hold onto lean muscle slips away too. Research shows we can lose up to 10% of our muscle mass during the menopause transition, even if we're still active. And yes, that includes women like me, who never missed a cardio session. The real problem? Muscle isn't just about looking toned, it's living, burning tissue. For every pound of muscle you lose, your body burns fewer calories. That silent slowdown explains why weight can creep on so easily during menopause, making you feel like you're gaining fat out of nowhere. And cardio alone just can't stop that muscle loss. What finally changed for me wasn't more sweat. It was giving my muscles the attention they were begging for. I started adding short strength training sessions to my week. Not bodybuilding, just movements that made me feel strong again. Bodyweight squats, gentle push-ups against the wall, glute bridges on my living room floor. At first, it felt strange to slow down, to focus on how I moved instead of how fast. But the difference was almost immediate. My posture improved. Everyday tasks felt lighter. My metabolism stopped free-falling. And instead of feeling drained after every workout, I started feeling steady energy that carried me through the day. I didn't quit cardio completely. I still love a walk in fresh air or a quiet bike ride, but I stopped relying on it as my only plan. Because at this stage of life, movement shouldn't just burn calories. It should protect the strength we have, rebuild what we've lost, and help us feel powerful in our own skin again. Mistake number 3, overtraining. In my 30s and early 40s, pushing myself to the limit felt empowering. Back-to-back boot camps, sunrise spin classes, running on weekends. It was exhausting, yes, but it also felt like proof of my strength. That ache the next morning was almost a trophy, proof that I was doing the right thing. But as menopause set in, the same approach turned against me. Instead of bouncing back, I found myself dragging for days. My joints throbbed longer than they used to, my sleep turned restless, and the stubborn belly fat refused to budge, no matter how fiercely I trained. It was confusing and, honestly, a little frightening. How could the very thing that once made me feel strong now leave me so depleted? What finally clicked was realizing that menopause had made my body more sensitive to stress, all stress, including exercise. Where an intense workout used to spark a quick rise and fall in cortisol, now that same effort kept my cortisol levels elevated for hours longer. And cortisol, as I painfully learned, is a fat storage hormone, especially around the belly. That's why working out harder didn't lead to a leaner, stronger body. It led to inflammation, disrupted sleep, and a cycle where I felt exhausted. So I trained harder, only to feel even worse. What changed everything was letting go of the idea that more is always better. Instead, I focused on moving smarter. I cut back intense sessions to just a few times a week, and instead of seeing recovery days as being lazy, I started to see them as training for my nervous system. Time to reset, rebuild, and come back stronger. If you're still here, that's amazing. Thank you for sticking with me. I'd love to hear about your own experiences with menopause and fitness. What's been your biggest struggle or your biggest breakthrough? Leave a comment below so we can keep this conversation going together. Now, on to mistake number 4, high-impact exercise on fragile joints. A few years ago, I could run, jump, and do endless burpees without thinking twice. But then my knees started to ache, my hips felt stiff in the mornings, and even a simple jog left me sore for days. At first, I blamed it on just getting older, but it turns out it wasn't simply age. It was menopause quietly changing my body from the inside out. During these years, our collagen production takes a steep dive. Research shows we can lose up to 30% in just 5 years. And collagen isn't just about skin elasticity, it's what cushions and protects our joints, tendons, and ligaments. Without it, high-impact moves that once felt energizing suddenly feel like bone grinding on bone. And the inflammation they trigger doesn't vanish overnight anymore. It can linger for 72 hours or more, silently wearing us down. Pushing through it, as I used to, only made things worse. Chronic soreness, stubborn inflammation, and, ironically, slower progress despite the effort. What helped wasn't quitting exercise, it was changing how I moved. I swapped pounding cardio for controlled strength training, squats, lunges, rows. moves that build muscle and bone without hammering my joints. I slowed down, focused on form, and gave my body real recovery time, even when I felt fine the next day. It turns out, low impact doesn't mean low results. It means fewer injuries, steadier progress, and a body that feels supported instead of punished. And the best part? I started waking up with less pain and a lot more energy to keep going. Mistake number 5, skipping recovery strategies. For years, I thought soreness was proof I'd worked hard enough, that pushing through fatigue was a sign of strength. I'd roll my eyes at the idea of active recovery and tell myself, come on, it's just aging, keep going. But menopause taught me something I didn't expect. It's not about age, it's about what your body is quietly asking for, and what happens when you don't listen. Before menopause, estrogen acted like a silent shield, keeping inflammation in check and helping us bounce back from stress, whether that was a tough workout or a sleepless night. But as estrogen declines, that shield thins. Suddenly, inflammation sticks around longer. Muscles ache for days instead of hours. Sleep feels lighter. Fat loss slows down. And even your usual workouts start to feel heavier than they used to. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I wasn't trying hard enough. But pushing harder only made the exhaustion worse. What finally helped? Not more sweat, but smarter recovery. I started drinking more water, 20 to 30% more than before. Dehydration, I realized, doesn't just make you thirsty, it quietly worsens inflammation and drains your energy. I made sure to eat protein within 45 minutes after workouts, even something small like Greek yogurt or a smoothie. Instead of skipping meals, I focused on refueling my muscles so they could actually repair and get stronger. And maybe most surprisingly, I made recovery part of my routine. Gentle stretching, slow walks, foam rolling, or even just 10 mindful minutes of breathing to calm my nervous system. These changes felt almost too simple, but they worked. The soreness eased, my sleep improved, and my energy came back. Here's the truth. Menopause doesn't mean you have to give up on strength, vitality, or your body goals. But it does mean you have to change the way you get there. So if you're wondering what to do next, here's what helped me the most. Prioritize strength training at least twice a week. Build in full recovery days. Hydrate generously and refuel with protein. Swap high-impact moves for joint-friendly exercises. And save intense workouts for the afternoon, not fasted mornings. You don't need to fight your body. You need to support it with science, patience, and a lot more kindness than we were ever taught to give ourselves. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I really do read every single one. I'll do my best to answer right there, or even include your question in a future video. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give it a like. Hit subscribe so you won't miss the next strategy, and together, we can help more women find real support through menopause.